Hello and welcome again. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening. Today's session is really important, so I'm not going to waste any time with introductions and so forth. Do give us a thumbs up. Make sure we are connected. I look forward to our chat today. It's an important topic, so I'm going to try and keep it brief, but hit the critical points today. The thing is, this is about performance and how AI is impacting team performance, culture, and so forth. So we've discussed some of these things already. And now let's look at the real problem and how to address that in the performance reviews. I've done a lot of work in this area at different times throughout my career. I've built multiple performance review systems. Some of them were KPI oriented and some of them were purely behavior oriented. And so I'm going to share some of that with you right now, and we'll just jump straight into that. So let me make sure my tech is working today. Again, give me a thumbs up. I look forward to your chat, your conversations, and a follow-up hopefully down the road. So, data-driven but people blind, the AI trap in performance reviews, how AI is impacting performance, and the performance reviews are the critical element that either improve culture, improve performance, provides guidelines and so forth, or leaning too much the other way where we focus so much on KPIs and the numbers and the business and forget about the people, okay? And as you've heard me talk about this many times, the business performance is the people and the tasks. And we've discussed how AI, automation, you can automate, delegate, and the balance is your responsibility. So in every task as a leader, manager, whatever you're doing, you need to think about the automate. So first, what are the process, the steps? We've talked about that. I've helped people map their process so that they can figure out what they're going to automate versus delegate. Okay, we automate the routine and we delegate the human elements that require people to do these things. There's still so much that depends on people. So what's left is then your responsibility. So when you get past the process, automate, etc., then you have a responsibility. But let's bring it back to performance and the performance reviews. We've seen it for the past 2 or 3 decades, a shift completely thanks to things like Lean, Six Sigma. Prior to that, it was TQM, ISO 9000. All of these tools have really focused well on the KPIs, the numbers, but have often forgotten the human element that is driving those numbers, right? AI has come in and it's coming very quickly. From 3 or 4 years ago, what we were unable to do with AI is just easily done today quickly. We're doing a lot with AI in both the recruiting, performance reviews, as well as coaching and leadership. So all of these things are happening very quickly, and it's easy to get consumed with playing with the AI and asking it to produce the numbers and the data, because that's all it can do. It can only look online or through your systems, your data, analyze all of that, and give you insights that help you to do that. Of course, you shouldn't believe everything it does. You need to double check it. That's the human element of that. But who perform those tasks that you're asking AI to analyze. When you're doing a performance review and you're leaning on all the data, let's not forget the people and how they got there, okay? How the data got there, how they got there, what did they do, right? What is measured often hides what truly matters, and that's what I'm talking about today. So the premise is performance reviews are increasingly automated and data-driven, right? AI cannot pick up the cues, the way it was achieved. It doesn't know that. It has no way to observe people in your workplace, or if it's remote, they can't observe their participation in meetings, in Zoom meetings, online or in person. So it's important to keep that in mind. Okay, you're the only one with eyes and ears and a mouth and smell, taste. Those senses are unique to us still today. Okay, it's changing, I know. Don't go there yet. All right, we're going to get there. The undocumented expectations. There is no AI that can read your mind. Okay, and there is no individual that can read other people's minds. That's still going to be an impossibility for as long as human beings are on the planet. That's at least my opinion. So, how do we solve this problem? What are we going to talk about today? That's the problem. The solution is to really unpack a lot of that and dive into some of these points that I've listed today. So metrics are not enough. There is a danger of undocumented expectations. Undocumented expectations are like saying you need to anticipate what I would like you to be doing without me telling you. That's a mind read. People can't do that. Yeah, they can guess based on repetitive feedback, criticisms, all of these things that are frustrating, annoying, get into conflict, and so on. They are there because of the undocumented expectations that really fall under hidden intentions, mind reading, etc. So we need to work on that. Observable behaviors drive the performance. We'll talk about that. Reframing, I'm going to touch on that, give you some tools to work with so you can actually delve into that and work through that on your own. So, number one, metrics are no longer motivating. Okay. Yes, there are some people that are driven and motivated by their numbers, but it's their internal processing that really makes that happen. Okay. KPIs look at the output, but not the journey. How did they get there? What did they do? Who did they do it with? Did they do it on their own? Did they do it with a team? Did they throw some people under the bus in order to get their results? What impact did that have on other parts of the organization? All of these are really the things that AI will miss, okay? It can't track those things. It can't sense burnout or confusion, misunderstandings. These are all excuses for the lack of communication, the lack of AI being able to do these things. Numbers will show you what, but not the why and how. Okay, so I think I've touched on that enough. The hidden expectation, I always talk about that because that's the most critical thing that all performance reviews that I've come across, that I've critiqued and helped evolve, have struggled with. The hidden expectation, the undocumented expectation. You have an expectation of people, and it's usually an observable expectation. And often all of the metrics that I've seen in performance reviews are based around numbers. They're not based on performance, attitude, culture, communication, all of those things that are really critical to a high performing environment. Okay, a high performing environment has energy. It has collaboration, it has fun, it has all kinds of things that AI has no way to grasp or understand or document. Okay. The misalignment and misunderstanding, the number of times that I hear people saying, oh, I misunderstood. Well, that's an excuse for not having communicated effectively, not having asked enough questions to understand before leaping into action. With the remote workplace, it's so easy to get into this misunderstanding excuse that occurs, blaming, you didn't tell me enough information, and so then I can't meet your expectations if you don't share those. AI can't do that. So we start judging people only on numbers rather than the observable behavior. And remember, the energy is critical to the performance and achieving the maximum performance and output that you want. If you want the numbers to succeed, you need to work on the people, not just tracking the numbers and whipping the stick, right? So observable behaviors are critical. Good performance doesn't necessarily mean it got there through a good behavior. Okay. AI can't tell the passive aggressive situations, the conflict, the dynamics, the avoidance, the misunderstanding, as I said, the miscommunications. Observable actions provide real coaching opportunities. That's very important for you to realize, that if you don't participate in observing people, you can't help them to evolve, grow. You can't find their blind spots, or identify the things that they can improve in their mindset. Their output starts here, right? But it's acted out. It's an observable behavior. Okay. Outcome doesn't equal alignment. Kind of re-emphasizing that point. Results will hide the dysfunction, the lone wolves. I've talked about those. We had a situation when I was in IBM where there was a competition, and the first one to complete and get all his KPIs ticked off was someone who threw a lot of people under the bus, gave away a lot of work that wasn't relevant to the KPIs, and people fell behind because they were covering for him, and he got the reward instead of them. That's a gross misjustice that was based on numbers only. Okay. So lone wolves, shortcuts, burnout, conflict, all of these things. How did it get there? Right. So be careful of those things. Numbers aren't always telling you the story. Okay. Yes, if the numbers are down, you definitely want to look at the people, the culture, the attitude. But even if the numbers are up, you might want to question, especially if other people's numbers are down, talk about the dynamics, the culture, the motivation, and so on. There's also a underlying undermining of trust when we just rely on numbers. We don't communicate, we don't share, we don't discuss things. All of that destroys trust, undermines trust. People feel unseen. There's just a number. I talked about this the other day. You might as well put them all in chicken pens and, don't let them out until they've hit their numbers. That you're not allowed to talk to anybody. You're not allowed to do anything that is collaborative. You're right. We came out of that 40, 50 years ago. Let's not go back there because of the AI, right? Feedback becomes impersonal and disengaging when you just use the numbers and critique based on numbers only. We need to restore the human element of engaging with people. Right. So where does behavior intelligence come into this? Leadership intelligence is really founded on top of behavior intelligence. You need to understand behavior in order to be a better leader, to be a better, more intelligent about your leadership style, the impact it has on your team, and so on. So, we talk so much about behavior intelligence, not to be therapists or so forth, not to work just on the mindset. But mindset is important. To be a better leader, you need to, again, know the numbers, know how they got there, and work the two. This is the critical aspect of bridging the gap between what you expect. If you don't document it, again, I'm going to repeat that 1,000 times. People can't read your mind. They're not going to meet expectations. My goal with every client, every coach I work with, you need to help them to achieve a level with their team so that the team exceeds expectations consistently and stay. People can exceed expectations. If you just focus on the numbers, they'll exceed those expectations on the numbers, but they're not going to stay if the morale is crap, if the environment has no dynamics, no satisfaction. Okay, so the observable behavior, the undocumented expectations, all of these are part of the opportunity for you to build the relationships, to coach and mentor the team, to elevate their performance, not just on the numbers, but on the excitement to show up every day in your workplace. So the lens is really 3 parts: the results, the behavior, and the alignment with others. Okay, I could probably run a whole session on those 3 points, but I just want to keep it brief today. So those 3 things are important from the aspect of how you manage those 3 things. So the numbers, you can get those on spreadsheets. AI can review those, analyze them, give you suggestions. But at the end of the day, you need to ask the question, what happened? Talk to me, explain to me. Build the trust that people can feel comfortable to share what happened, to critique each other. It was just today I said to the team, you need to be comfortable to review each other's work and critique each other in order to elevate the team performance together. Okay, that's the alignment. Is it healthy? Is it repeatable? Should we automate something, or is it just really a delegation situation? Okay. Bring back the conversations. AI plus the human check-in, okay, is important. So step 1, review the dashboard data. Ask the question of how it can be achieved. What is the observed behavior that you expect to see or hear about how those numbers are achieved? So have your 2 columns, and remember, the culture is about the alignment, And your role as a leader is to maintain that balance across those three areas, okay? To build collaboration, alignment, to support people to feel like they can speak openly, they trust the environment, the leadership, and everything within your organization. I can give you lots of examples. We've done this with many organizations. When I was running the coaching firm, I developed new spreadsheets and performance review systems that brought in the behavioral aspects that were missing in those organizations. If you want access to those, reach out to me. I'll share the link in a moment so that you can do that. And it's critical to remember that, right? So I've talked about the top performer that caused the whole team to miss their deadline because of being focused only on the data. Okay, the impact, the behavioral coaching of the team is what shifted that, right? Just being a top performer on the numbers only is not really a top performer. I think the team as a whole needs to be a high performing team, not an individual. Okay, so that is the focus of what you need to be working on. So your key takeaways, so I can wrap up here. I said I wanted to keep this reasonably short. These are deep topics that each deserve a full session. So do reach out, and I'll put my information up here while I am finishing up. Okay, so don't just rely on AI to define the performance guidelines that you're going to use in your organization. Behavior is the piece that it's going to miss. It's the reading minds, it's the dynamics, it's the conflict, the misunderstanding, all the things that you need to listen and watch for between the lines, right? You can listen between the lines, just the hesitation, the misunderstanding, the lack of interaction, commitment. There's just so many things that you can be watching for that AI can't do, right? Expectations. Don't think people can read your mind and know what you expect and how they're supposed to behave, how they're supposed to get those results. Sometimes they surprise you and they have those results really quickly. You might want to ask, how did you get there? Right? Coaching. Building the team collaboration is the critical element that you want to keep in mind. All right. So, next steps. All right. So if you want to do some of these things, we need to talk about how you're going to reframe your team's usage of performance and AI in that conversation. What are the 3 parts of your performance review? Have your 3 sections or spreadsheet, whatever. The measurements based on alignment is measured through feedback and collaboration with the team members. Right? Behavior is about your observable expectations and how well they were documented. If they didn't meet your expectation, go back and look at whether you documented your expectations properly, whether you shared those properly. Okay, and join us on our journey working with many business owners, coaches, leaders from around the world to share this. We have mastermind groups, master classes. There's lots of free content courses just like this one that are available to you that you can leverage throughout the network. So That's it for me today. I hope you've enjoyed that. You got some nuggets from that. If you need to reach me, you know how to reach me. It's on the bottom there. Nagui at biqorg.com. Thanks, and I hope to see